we start the video, I just want to let you know that I do have a Patreon, and it's the only way to keep this channel alive. If you want to be a member of my Patreon, it's in the link in the description down below. In order to react to videos like these, since this is a Patreon requested video, I have to let you guys know, you only be a member, you have to be a Hobidon hero or a Hobidon protector on my Patreon. This allows you to request for videos in the future and maybe some artwork. That's all I have to say. I hope you guys get the message, and like I said, if you want to request a video, you got to be a member on my Patreon. That's the only way to do so. And it's in this link in the description down below. Now, enough of that. Let's get on to the reaction, shall we? And I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and let's get this started. What is up, YouTube? Frost the Hobidon here, and today we are doing another reaction video, a Patreon request for all of you. And this is Ben 10, the entire story of Ben 10 Illustrated, all 5 parts by the Ink Tank. And this was requested by Zach Cal from Patreon. And if you want a video requested on Patreon, you follow the rules in the Patreon. Go to my Patreon page and be a member of the Hobidon Protector. That's the only tier that you can get a Patreon request from me. But if you can't do that, and you want to help out and you just want to help out the channel, you can always join the 1 tier a month, a Hobidon Scout. You will help out the channel, and I really appreciate all the help and support. Or you can help out the channel by being a Hobidon, joining the Hobidon squad. It's by hitting the join button on my YouTube channel. It's only $1 a month. It's only $1.99 a month, and you'll be helping out the squad by keeping this channel alive. Plus, you will get access to emojis, and if I ever do a live stream chat, you ever announce those emojis, or you can just add those emojis onto my comments. I really appreciate the help. You'll be helping the channel either way, through Patreon or YouTube, or join YouTube. But if you can't do any of that, not even $1 a month, you can still help out the channel by comment, and subscribing to the channel. Hit that subscribe button and hit the like button, and hit that notification bell to be notified for more videos along the way. Anything that would help out this channel a lot. You guys are heroes in my hearts. You guys are amazing. And yeah, as for this, I'm looking forward to see what this is all about. We're going to try to separate this into 2 parts because this is a very long video. And this is from the Ink Tank's channel, so go check out their channel. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to their channel as well. I want you to show their support the way you show your support to me. Alright, let's get on to that. Without further ado, let's get on to the action, shall we? In 3, 2, 1, go. Use the time code to describe. Okay. Before we begin, what's up? In honor of Ben 10 and anniversary, we have to surprise you. Oh.
Hi, I'm Yuri Lowenthal, the voice of Ben Tennyson.
This is Paul Lighting, the voice of Max Tennyson.
Hi, I'm Tara Strong, the voice of Ben Tennyson.
Greg Sykes, the voice of Kevin Levin. And right now, that's how we do it. And this is Wingman G, the real-life Beast Boy. And you're watching the Ink Tank, babies.
Thanks for tuning into the Ink Tank.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ink Tank.
Always. I love working on Ben 10, and I wish they would do a Ben 10 animated feature film.
We had a great time working on that show. We were a family, even the aliens.
I love being Ben, because I get to turn into whatever alien I want. At least most of the time.
It's awesome.
Don't touch my car. Enjoy the video, yo.
We'll never touch the car, Kevin.
Hope you enjoy the video. It's hero time.
Going hero. Bye, guys.
This is Max.
Bye. Correct.
This video is the completed, illustrated retelling of the entire history of Ben 10, from the classic series all the way to Omniverse.
Really?
The information will be presented chronologically, so you will see all flashback and time travel shenanigans play out in the order they would have happened in the natural progression of the universe. By the end, you should be well versed in the legacy that is the hero of heroes. I'd love to hear reactions from both longtime fans and new beginners of the show, and see if they can follow along.
Right.
Now, let's begin.
Let's go.
Released into the universe are the single-celled ancestors to all DNA, known as slimebiots. These sentient genetic-metamorphic species gather, carry, mix, and deposit DNA across the growing universe for eons to come. They are essentially the creators of most known sentient life today. Sometime after the universe had time to grow, a swampy, small planet gives birth to a genius that will become the smartest being in many galaxies. Azimuth, a Galvan who at full height is only about 6 inches tall, soon begins to flourish his passion to invent and learn alongside his mate, Zenith. His first grandiose invention being an entire artificial planet known as Primus. Obsessed with his own capability, Azimuth sought out to find a way to tap into the fundamental forces of the universe and control the laws of physics himself. Inspired by a solitary alignment, Azimuth forged the Sword of Ascalon, a sword that wields such great power, one can't help but compare it to magic. This pushed Zenith away, with a young Azimuth too ignorant to care. However, the sword was stolen by a fierce incursion warrior, hoping to put an end to their constant world wars.
Oh boy.
This eventually led to the
unlimited
destruction
power
of
on a
the
sword, that's a
planet.
problem.
Azimuth blamed himself.
Yeah, he would do that.
After retrieving the sword, Azimuth was still longing to prove the sword's creation was valid. Eventually, Azimuth visited a, quote, pathetic backwater planet he came across on his studies. Earth, circa 1131, the medieval era. Georgius, a Roman soldier cursed with immortality, is defending his land from a cross-dimensional shape-shifting being known as the Dagon, enslaver of 100 different dimensions, and his army of demon Lacubras. To relinquish the assault, Azimuth offers the knight his sword if Sir George, the Roman soldier's current name, was worthy enough to wield it. Sir George indulges on Azimuth's offer and engages in an epic battle, ending with George cutting out the heart of the Dagon and leaving Ascalon buried within. As the Dagon's heart was the source of his power, George was then able to magically seal the Dagon away, freeing humanity from his reign. Sir George then founded the Forever Knights, vowing to protect Earth from extraterrestrial threats and prepare for the Dagon's potential second coming. Azimuth sought out to right his wrongs by inventing something to represent peace.
That's how the Forever Knights were forged.
Hoping that one day, his lost lover would notice. Eventually, Azimuth became antisocial and put himself in isolation on Xenon, and began developing the Omnitrix, which can transform the user into a multitude of alien species. Azimuth would continue to perfect his invention over time. In the 1770s, George Washington is leading a secret organized branch of hunters dedicated to learning about and protecting the world from supernatural threats and rumors.
The first president of the United States.
A stranded Maltruant arrives here and receives aid from a young, banished traveler named Vilgax. Vilgax helps Maltruant repair his ship, and in return, Maltruant gives young Vilgax a Chronosapien time bomb. The two are soon intercepted by Ben and Rook time-hopping once again, and fight off young Vilgax and Maltruant with the help of George Washington. Seeing Ben transform from species to species inspired Vilgax's lifelong lust for this unique kind of power, as Ben unknowingly became the catalyst for his greatest foe. Washington cuts the anchor of Vilgax's ship, inspiring the tale of George Washington cutting down the cherry tree. This also marks the first recorded alien sighting on Earth, and Washington's organization starts to integrate extraterrestrial matters. This sets up the creation of the Plumbers, meant to fix leaks in normal society. They create a headquarters hidden behind the faces of Mount Rushmore, a nod to their original members, the Founding Fathers.
Ben 10 Universe is a lot of fun.
In 1952, an unnamed scientist working in a secret base of operations just outside of Bellwood is completing his work on a machine
so we never know what the
uses
scientist
quartz
is.
crystal to break a hole in the space-time
But I think we got a clue. We know
who. The machine erupts, and both the scientist and his assistant disappear, thought to be dead. In 1962, 10 years later, Air Force pilot turned astronaut Maxwell Tennyson saves the life of an energy being named Verdona from an android that aspired to use her as a power source. The two eventually start a family together. Also,
we all know the story of how this was. That explains how. Spoiler alert: how Gwen Tennyson Gwen get the same powers as her grandmother.
Present was an alien police officer named Magister Labrid, who invites Max to join the Force. This stems the integration of the intergalactic merger of said police force and the Earth Plumbers. Plumbers are now multi-galaxy wide and operate as the definitive law enforcement for all galaxies under their jurisdiction.
So similar to the Green Lantern Corps, as they're all galactic police officers, the Plumbers are somewhat the same thing, but different. You know, for those who want to understand, who has an understanding, like the Green Lantern, they patrol the galaxy as space police officers. The Plumbers do the same thing in their own methods. They all focus on protecting the peace in the universe.
Max would go on to work with many partners through his years on the Force. On one of his missions, an Osmosian named Devin Levin gave his life for Max, entrusting him to keep an eye on his son. We come to know the son's name as Kevin Levin, who was born with the power to absorb any kind of energy, matter, or DNA into himself and replicate it. Of course, it would take a very long time for Kevin to control his abilities, and after accidentally destroying his family's home, he runs away to the city of New York. A few years passed, and Asmith has finally finished the prototype version of his Omnitrix, and tasked one of Max's old love interests, Xylene, to transport the Omnitrix to the greatest plumber on record, Max Tennyson, for safekeeping. However, rumors of the Omnitrix's existence has spread through the universe. Now a fierce warlord with a reputation, Vilgax catches wind of these rumors, igniting his hunger to taste this power he once witnessed hundreds of years ago, and sets a course to intercept Xylene's mission and capture the Omnitrix for himself. A fight for the Omnitrix between Xylene and Vilgax's ship causes an explosion. This concludes with Vilgax suffering life-threatening injuries, imprisoning him on his own ship until he can properly heal. Xylene injects the Omnitrix into a pod locked onto Max's DNA, but she herself falls into the Arctic, freezing her into a deep sleep for the time being. Back in Bellwood, Max Tennyson, now retired and living in a motorhome, decides to take his grandchildren on a cross-country trip to help bring them closer together. A 10-year-old Ben Tennyson, accompanied by his cousin Gwen, begin their road trip with Max at a campsite in Yosemite Park, California.
Yeah, we know this. Although, I'm going to say right now that the original Ben and Gwen Tennyson, they always argue a lot. It gets from laughable to really straight up annoying, because these two have anything they can get along with, but they always bicker and yell and get angry at each other. They care, but it's getting annoying at this point when they argue. And something that the reboot version of Ben and Gwen, they get along way better than their original timeline counterparts. That's all I gotta say.
Series of events we later learn were manipulated by greater forces. Ben finds himself crossing paths with a mysterious meteor that fell from the sky. The Omnitrix quickly attaches itself to Ben's wrist, igniting the legend of Ben 10.
So it was manipulated.
That can change into 10 different alien forms. Max has yet to reveal to his grandchildren his alien hunting past, but uses his knowledge of alien life and combat training to help Ben master his powers. The trio spend the summer going from state to state, stepping in to help out battle evildoers and save the day when they can. During a trip to New York, the gang eventually run into Kevin, who uses his abilities to absorb the DNA of Ben's aliens for him to use for his own selfish, psychopathic gain. A discharge from the Omnitrix sends Kevin into hiding, where he experiments more with the alien DNA he now has merged into his body. As their adventures continue, Ben starts to have visions of a mysterious onlooker, someone who has been spying on him and testing him by sending bounty hunters and alien drones. Vilgax's healing time has come to an end, and now with a much more powerful cybernetic body, Vilgax heads straight to Earth to claim the Omnitrix as his own.
Yeah, we're familiar with this.
Vilgax successfully captures Ben, taunting him with his plans of creating an army of Omnitrix warriors. I like that he just pops out and goes, his history as a plumber to Gwen, and the two head to Mount Rushmore to gather more weapons to save Ben. Meanwhile, a power surge on Vilgax's ship begins to shift Ben between his alien forms. A final assault between Ben, Gwen, and Max against Vilgax leaves him trapped on his exploding ship. Max agrees to open up to the kids about his secret life, and the three become stronger and closer together.
That is true.
As their summer adventures continue, the trio expands their capabilities. Max comes out of retirement and begins to re-familiarize himself with his old technology and weapons. Gwen takes an interest in magic after stealing a spellbook from one of their many reoccurring villains. And Ben soon discovered that there are more than 10 aliens in the Omnitrix.
I remember her.
And becomes a natural at many fighting styles. Vilgax eventually emerges under a partnership with Kevin, who has now permanently damaged his body with the alien DNA from Ben's Omnitrix.
Yeah, I
Ben
remember that
temporarily
phase.
gains access to the master control of his Omnitrix. Max seals them both away in the Null Void, an alternate dimension made to inhabit the galaxy's worst criminals. On Max's 60th birthday, Ben and Gwen are thrusted 20 years into the future by Gwendolyn, an adult version of Gwen, now a master of martial arts and magic. During this brief journey, Ben evaluates the arrogant and selfish behavior he develops as he matures into adulthood, and vows to make different choices as he grows. Ben and Gwen are returned to their time shortly after defeating
He
future
changes a
Vilgax.
lot throughout the series.
Xylene also arrives after she is accidentally unfrozen by a group of Inuits. She reveals to them that the Omnitrix was intended for Max, not Ben, but deems him worthy enough to keep it. At some point, Ben is yet again hurled into the future, this time only 6 years, during a chrono-randomization barrier error by 16-year-old Ben Tennyson. Ben then helps his future self and team defeat Ultimate Aggregor. More on that later. After this event, Ben is sent back to his own time and recalls this journey as a vague dream. Towards the end of the summer, the Omnitrix's self-destruction is accidentally turned on during a battle with one of Ben's reoccurring enemies, Dr. Animo. Ben is taken to space by Tetrax, an ex-bounty hunter turned vigilante, to help Ben find the creator of the Omnitrix and turn off the self-destruct, as the destruction's power will destroy the entire universe. Vilgax escapes the Null Void and trails them, intending to steal the Omnitrix once and for all, or force the creator to build him a new one. The gang finally meet Azimuth, who at first refuses to fix the Omnitrix, as he believes the universe is doomed to destroy itself anyway. In a last effort to save the universe, Ben battles Vilgax and his army one final time without use of the Omnitrix. This inspires Azimuth to put his faith in Ben as the future hope of the universe, and fixes the Omnitrix, unlocking one of Ben's most powerful forms in the process. Azimuth keeps an eye on Ben from that point forward, but for now, still refuses to give him the master control. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Hybrid begins seeding their plans for universal domination by planting sleeper agents and slowly integrating themselves into society. With summer vacation over, Ben and Gwen return to school. The disorientated dad of Azimuth soon visits and declares war on Ben after misinformation leads him to believe that Ben has killed Azimuth, and a Toku Star battle in the middle of Bellwood City causes miles of detrimental property damage. The city secretly enlists the help of various aliens to help rebuild Bellwood, with the aliens taking up camp below the surface. Over time, these camps would form a city of their own.
Yes, we all know. I'm Ben 10 Omniverse.
A year passes, and Ben unlocks a new transformation named Feedback and quickly becomes addicted to using him. Meanwhile, in the Null Void, Kevin finds himself in a plumber-operated prison and meets Quarrel, a wise inmate with knowledge on Osmosians. He helps Kevin learn to control his rage, which was the trigger of his initial mutation. The more energy an Osmosian absorbs, the more insane they become. To combat this, Kevin learns to absorb matter instead, creating a suit of armor with whatever material he touches. Quarrel helps Kevin escape by sacrificing his life at the hand of the prison warden, who has a deep hatred for criminals. This memory haunts him through his early teens. Still trapped in the Null Void, Kevin is found and recruited by Proctor Cervantes, leader of the Rooters, a special Black Ops division of the Plumbers. Cervantes was a corrupted scientist who frequently abducted children and performed experiments on them, attempting to create an army of superpowered beings that can assassinate a target known as the oncoming storm. When he discovered Kevin, he thought of him as the key to achieving his dream, and uses Kevin's powers to experiment on himself and a new team of children, creating the Rooters. After a period of training, the Rooters are sent to Earth to execute Ben Tennyson, with the assault led by Kevin. During the battle, the assault fails, which highly upsets Proctor Cervantes, calling the Rooters project a failure. He wipes Kevin's mind of any memory of him, and does the same to the other Rooters, and lets them loose once again into the Null Void. With his new friend by his side, Kevin and Argent wander the Null Void. They eventually find a way out, and after a few scandals as traveling con artist partners, agree to go their separate ways. On Galvan Prime, Azimuth has moved back to his homeworld and becomes their first thinker. During the creation of the Galvanic Mechamorph, a species of sentient blobs of nanites that can possess and enhance machinery that live on Galvan Prime's moon, named Galvan B, one Mechamorph.
I always assume that planet is alive, similar to the living planet from the Green Lantern Corps. I forget his name, Mogul. It was something similar to that. It got references to this.
was made incomplete, which corrupted both his biomass and his sanity. His name was malware. Azimuth worked to develop a cure to stabilize him, but it was deemed a failure. Malware became hostile and attempted to cure himself by kidnapping Albedo, one of the
Malware
assistants
was
of
a pain
Azimuth,
in the butt.
forcing
I
him to
hated this
develop a
guy.
cure. This only mutated and corrupted Malware further. Malware then planned to absorb the Omnitrix and use its power to perfect his form. He steals an incomplete blueprint from an altercation with Ben, and begins working on an Omnitrix duplicate with a scientist known as Dr. Psychobos. The two realize that they are in need of DNA samples to program into their Omnitrix,
Crazy nutcase.
and enlist the services of Kyber the Huntsman to collect samples
I
from the
remember you.
predators of Ben's aliens. Malware then ambushes the Tennysons, and in an effort to crush Ben's spirit, rips feedback out of Ben's Omnitrix and vaporizes him, destroying Ben's ability to transform into him. Malware, Dr. Psychobos, and
I remember
Kyber
him.
then
He'll get
spend
him
the
back
next
in the
5
future.
years collecting DNA samples for what they will eventually call the Nematrix. Heartbroken by the loss of feedback, Ben eventually has the Omnitrix removed.
Yeah.
4 years later, Ben is now 15 years old and continues living a normal life, playing sports and drinking smoothies. With Grandpa Max missing, Ben re-equips the watch, and with the help of Gwen and Magister Labrid, the high-ranking plumber that originally
The new
recruited
Ben-
Max,
Ben-
they
the new
begin
Ben
their
10
search.
series.
However, as a catch, the Omnitrix has recalibrated after Ben's 4-year hero hiatus and has locked away his original transformations, while giving him 10 new ones. The
We
three
remember
run into
this
Kevin
one.
Levin, now 16 and back on Earth, during a weapons deal with the Forever Knights. The Dean aliens, slaves that work for the Hybrid, are also present. And
Those
after
guys were a
short
pain in the
escapade,
butt to deal with, but we
Magister
all know
Labrid
how that
dies in
happened.
battle, leaving Ben to carry on Max's legacy. Double-crossed from his weapons deal and honored by Labrid's sacrifice, Kevin offers his help in defeating the Hybrid and their Dean aliens. Recalling Ben's so-called dream of a future where he and Kevin were friends, Ben agrees, and the iconic Alien Force trio is formed.
So that's how it happened.
Using his new
Ben 10
abilities,
Alien
the
Force.
trio begin recruiting superpowered allies for an upcoming invasion. Some were good, some were bad, and some were quite questionable. The three eventually find that Max is still alive
true.
and has been deep undercover investigating the Hybrid fleet, only to seemingly die yet again by using an unstable null void projector as a grenade to kill a Hybrid general and give Ben and his team another fighting chance.
But it was
To
a
honor
sad
Max's
moment.
sacrifice,
But we all
Ben
knew.
continues his journey
we
to
all
put
knew what
together
happened.
a valuable team. As the Hybrid invasion gets closer, many revelations are made. Gwen finds out that her powers come from her alien grandmother, and has been using magic to channel her abilities. The gang meet Professor Paradox, a man
There
thought
he
dead due
is.
to a failed time travel experiment that has accidentally launched him outside of reality,
That unknown
where he learned to
scientist.
bend time and space and find his way back. And most importantly, Ben had unlocked his most
where's
powerful
his assistant?
transformation yet, Alien X, a nigh omnipotent being that can bend reality with a mere thought.
His most
Although
powerful
this
one.
power comes with complications to overcome.
Fun fact, the alien right here that looks manly was voiced by Kevin Conroy, rest in peace. And I believe the alien who voices her was the original voice of Starfire from Teen Titans. I know her, you know who I'm talking about. You guys know who I'm talking about, the voice actress who plays Starfire from Teen Titans. I really like how they got Kevin Conroy to be voicing this, but I'm pretty sure he voices some characters in the show. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. You will always be a legend. You'll always be a talented voice actor, and you will always be Batman.
Later, after a distress call from the Null Void by one of the allies Ben has made, he discovers that Max has yet again escaped the clutches of death, and the Null Void
Yay!
grenade ended up transporting him to this dimension, where he has began an uprising against the dictator persona of Dr. Animo, known as Devoid. Ben assists the revolution, but Max refuses to
Yeah,
leave,
waste
as
of-
he believes there is still work left for him to
Animo
do there,
is
but
annoying
promises to return
sometimes,
one
but he
day.
can be a threat.
Now an
He can be a
independent
threat.
leader, not by burden, but by choice, Ben prepares for war. The war officially begins with the fall of Galvan Prime, the homeworld of Azimuth. He and Paradox then set things into motion.
I
Ben
remember
calls
this.
in every favor he has at the time for a final assault on the Hybrid, as their plans to
epic
extinguish
battle
all life they
begins.
deem impure, which is any race that is not their own, is in full effect. Azimuth at first refuses for Ben to participate in the war, as the Omnitrix is too valuable to risk losing, but after realizing that nothing will stop Ben from fighting, he grants Ben access to the Master Control, the full powers of the Omnitrix that he had only experienced once before. Ben fights his way to the Hybrid Hybrid control tower, only to find that the true Hybrid Supreme Council is located on their home planet. Max triumphantly returns with his own team to give Ben the fighting chance to make it to the Supreme Council. There, it is revealed that the hybrid race is actually dying, and they intend to wipe out the galaxy along with them. On a whim, Ben uses the Omnitrix's genetic damage repair function, amplified by the hybrid galactic jump gates, to rejuvenate the hybrid's entire toxic bloodline, recombinating their DNA and giving them a second chance at life. With the war ended, and Ben Tennyson now recognized as a galactic hero, the hybrid returned home.
You saved our lives.
Continues training the Max Force, his new team of recruits, while Azimuth says his goodbye to Ben, who has yet again lost access to the Master Control. Ben's new heroic status starts to cloud his judgment and fuels his ego. Months later, Vilgax arrives on Earth with his follower, Siphon. Vilgax issues a Conqueror's Challenge, a law galactically enforced that allows the opposer to challenge that planet's greatest hero, with the champion obtaining ownership of the planet upon victory. Vilgax has done this to 10 other worlds, including his own home planet, which has now been renamed Vilgaxia, redeeming his status as a banished criminal to a respected leader and warrior.
He would do
with
that.
his 10 victories, Vilgax now wields many new powers and weapons. To ensure victory, Kevin and Ben attempt to hack the Omnitrix after Azimuth refuses to help Ben after the hybrid war gave Ben a much more
tamper with the Omnitrix if you don't have no knowledge of it.
The experiment goes awry, breaking the Omnitrix, releasing some of Ben's aliens into the world, and permanently mutating Kevin for a second time. The trio work together to recapture Ben's missing aliens, but the Omnitrix remains broken. The challenge begins, and Ben appears to be a perfect match for Vilgax's new powers, until Vilgax gets the upper hand and kills Ben in his Chromastone transformation. Suddenly, Ben's broken pieces begin to reform into another transformation, Diamond Head, one of his original 10, and promptly defeats Vilgax. As time goes on, the trouble weighs on the trio due to his mutation, as no one is able to figure out how to cure him. Unable to escape his defeat, Vilgax continues to pursue the trio, eventually teaming up with Azimuth's ex-assistant, Albedo. After a failed attempt to recreate the Omnitrix after he was deemed unworthy, Albedo was accidentally genetically altered, now resembling a warped Ben Tennyson. The two agreed to an alliance to retrieve the Omnitrix from Ben. Albedo would use the Omnitrix to cure himself, and Vilgax to rule the galaxy. Albedo eventually stole an Omnitrix core from Azimuth to complete the Ultimatrix, a device that can turn Albedo into Ben's aliens, and then evolve them into their ultimate form. The two capture Gwen and Kevin and threaten execution unless Ben hands over the Omnitrix. Ben complies, and Vilgax uses the Omnitrix to power his Bioid army, finally achieving his dream of commanding an army of Omnitrix users. Vilgax double-crosses Albedo and keeps the Omnitrix for himself. As Vilgax begins his reign over the galaxy, Ben activates the self-destruct on his Omnitrix via voice command, telling Vilgax that the Omnitrix will destroy itself if he does not give it back to Ben. Vilgax believes Ben is bluffing and lets the Omnitrix explode, destroying it for good. Ben swipes the Ultimatrix from Albedo to once again gain the power to transform into his aliens, but now has the option to go ultimate. During the battle, Vilgax's ship plummets into the ocean, where Vilgax unleashes his true form, only to be defeated by Ben using Ultimate Swamp Fire. The destruction of the Omnitrix also cures Kevin, as the frequency from their original experiment is what kept Kevin in his mutated state. Armed with new abilities, the trio's journey continues.
Okay, I'm going to end it right here with part 1. So we will come back later on for part 2, and we can finish this off later. So yeah, make sure to stay tuned, and I look forward to seeing part 2 for the rest of the video. Take care, guys, and have a great day.
Okay, now you die.